pretty different unboxing today. It's already unboxed because this is a really cool piece of equipment that the other side of leatherworking and making stuff is the equipment. It's about as fun, if not more fun, the actual process of making stuff. I like old tools. I like really efficient tools. I love the laser. I love all these different things. And I used to work as a screen printer for a little bit of time up in Logan, Badger Screen Printing. Shout out to Taylor Jardine, my boy, up there running the show. And so I know a little bit about screen printing, and in the business we've needed a screen printing setup, and we do some merch from time to time, but it's a pain because getting stuff screen printed, you have to pay for the screen, you have to wait at least 2 or 3 weeks for the order to be processed. There's MOQs, minimum order quantities of at least like 50 or 100, and it's just tough to hire out screen printers. And so when we got to a point where we were finishing up the developing of the boot breaker insoles, which I should probably show you right here. This is our little really thin 2mm insole. It's thick enough to give you some squish, but not so thick that it's going to change your sizing. Makes it a lot easier to break in heritage boots. It makes it a lot easier to wear really hard heritage boots if you like a little bit of squish. And so we needed to have a screen printer or have these screen printed. And working with other companies is just such a pain because they've got their own timelines, their own order queues. And so I was like, let's just invest in one. Let's invest in a little screen printing setup, and we'll just do some screen printing out of the shop. It's aligned with what we're trying to do here by making the dream shop, this shop full of all the tools and equipment you could ever imagine to, I'm getting a call, to make literally whatever you want at any point, at any time, and just have the ultimate making space. That's the dream, that's the goal. And so I wanted to have this, one of the first things we're doing to build out that dream shop thing is having a screen printing setup where we can make merch, we can make our products, screen print on stuff, the employees can use the screen printing. And so when we went to start looking for a screen printer, I was like, okay, what's out there? You got your cheap Amazon one-hit screen printer setups. The problem with that is you got to buy the screens, you got to go to a screen printing shop, have them develop the screen. They put the emulsion stuff over top of it. It's photosensitive. It's basically like developing a photo, and so it takes a long time. 24, 48 hours turnaround time to take it to someone. Costs some money to do. And so there's just some pitfalls with screen printing that I was like, I don't know, maybe we just have other people print it. But in the research, I found this brand, xTool. And I bought this full setup before we even talked to the brand. I was like, that's perfect. That's exactly what we need. And then after we got it, I was like, this thing is actually way sick. And I think other people should know about this. And since I love equipment and tools so much, and so many of the people that watch our stuff, there are a lot of small makers, small leather goods manufacturers. There's a lot of small companies that watch this, and I really like this. And so I basically was like, hey, if you give me another screen printing setup and your sick laser, we'll do a little video for you, a little ad, because this is a product that I think people are really going to like, and I really like. So what did we actually get? Well, the thing that I have in front of me is obviously the screen printer. So let me pull up the website, just kind of walk you through why this thing is so different. Because starting off, even before we get to the actual machine, the screen itself is a completely different way. I didn't even know this was possible. I don't know if there's other brands doing this. This is the first brand I've seen doing it. But these screens, instead of taking them to a screen printing shop and have them developed, takes forever. You can laser off these screens. So you can put this in your laser printer and put your design in the program, and it laser cuts the design out. And the way they can do that is because it's a wire mesh underneath. I believe it's 0.001 inch is like the accuracy or like the definition. 0.01% engraving error. And that's pretty unique because other screen printing setups, like I said, it's emulsion and it's photosensitive. You have to have like a developer. This, you can just cut it on any laser and it'll cut out exactly what you want. And the cool thing is the screens themselves are really easy to replace. They just kind of snap into place. They're pretty self-tensioning instead of having to tape it and tension it and all the chaos that goes along with setting up a regular screen. And so the cool thing with this is you could have, and these screens are cheap. How much are they? Let me look them up real quick. So the coated screens, a 4-pack of 11.5 by 16 is only $30. And that's just the screen. The frames are different, but all you have to do is replace, instead of getting a new frame for every single one, you have the different screens that you can throw in there. I don't know how they store, I don't really know anything about that, but still, less than 10 bucks a screen. It allows you to swap them out, allows you to have different designs, it allows you to have several screens set up, so that, because this is obviously just one color you can do at a time, but if you have a bunch of these frames and the screens and they lock in and they're very precise, that allows you to do a multicolor screen print without needing a multi-head screen printer. And we're mostly going to be doing like one hit, one color stuff, like especially with the boot breakers just on the heel. And so we really just need like a couple screens and they lock into place, get them all lined up, and that's a huge part of this. So like any of the employees that want to start, like Sam's, I wear a bunch of Sam's shirts that he's made over the years. If he wants to make some shirts, he can make shirts. If Taylor wants to make some packaging for his leather goods company, it's cool to have this at the disposal of the employees and for the actual business itself. So now let's kind of go over what this actually is, because I'm already getting long-winded. The world's first screen printer with laser. 30 seconds, easy stretch frame, 6 times faster than other stuff. We make complex screen printing easy from home. They really do. It's a pretty sweet little setup. Yeah, so really it's a 2-step process compared to what they say is a 9-step process of making the screens. Step 1 for the xTool is stretch the screen and stencil it, put on a laser, and then print. Versus traditional screens, you got to make the frame, adjust the frame, stretch the screen, cut the screen, photosensitive emulsion on top, photosensitive emulsion curing, film preparation, film exposure, screen washing. It's just a more involved process. I'm sure these are maybe not as precise, maybe you can't get as clean of a print, but like for our needs, it does really well. The other thing I really like about this is once you got the screen figured out, you got it in place, you have a ton of these little micro adjustments here on the front. So you've got a dial for side to side, up and down, and then side to side from the top, so you can kind of skew it. And it's all metal frame, so it's very rigid, it's precise, and we haven't had any issues at all getting everything lined up. And they got a range of tools. This is just a typical squeegee for screen printing. And they sell water-based ink. I hate working with water-based ink because it dries so fast and clogs the screens. So I like to use, what is it called? Not Speedball. Plastisol, I think is what it's called. And it works really great. And how much is this thing? So right now, this setup, it looks like it retails for $400, but it's on sale right now for 240 bucks. It's pretty cool because it's 240 bucks, not cheap, but like you can have a full screen printing setup for 240 bucks. That's pretty sweet. They also sent us with their laser, which I just thought was a laser before we got it, and I started doing like the research on it. But they sent us with the S1 enclosed diode laser cutter. This thing is pretty sweet because it's a 40-watt laser, so it's pretty powerful. It's still nothing compared to, I think, our 100-watt big laser we cut all of our wallets on. But the cool thing is you can switch the laser modules. You can go down to a 2-watt, 10-watt, 20-watt, 40-watt. It's got a rotating laser thing, so if you want to engrave on like a Stanley mug or on a baseball or a glass or a cup, it allows you it rotates as it screen prints. It has a pass-through slot, so you can screen print bigger stuff, but really what we use it for is just burning the screens, because we don't want to clog up the main laser, so we just have this little laser off to the side, and within 5 minutes you can have a full setup and a new screen print going. So even though we don't use it for cutting leather and stuff, it would still be strong enough to cut through leather. You could use it for a lot of different things, engraving on stuff. And the nice thing about the setup is you don't even have to have a laser cutter, because this, laser cutters are way more expensive than these. The laser cutter that we have is $1,800. And you don't even really need a $1,500 laser. If you've got a buddy that has a laser, or even if you don't have the money to buy a laser yet, you can still take it to any laser cutter, even the small businesses, and they'll be able to cut it for you super quick, super cheap, in a matter of a few minutes. And then when you have the time and you have the money to buy a laser, you upgrade to one of these xTool S1s, and all of a sudden you've got an entire screen printing setup, literally at the size of this table. Like we could have the whole screen printing setup on this table, because the laser takes about that much room, the screen printer takes this much room, and so in a 5-foot table, you can have a full screen printing setup. You have to store some screens underneath, and you need some sort of heat dryer, because you can do water-based ink, and I think it dries without a dryer, but it's a lot easier if you have a dryer or one of the press dryers. And they have tons of accessories for it. They've got like smoke purifiers. They've got different rotators for the 3D laser jobs, or the round ones is what I'm trying to say. They got little honeycomb pads. They've got basically everything you need to keep that up and running and accessorize it. And so that's why xTool is just this brand that I had no idea existed. And then they solved a huge problem that we had in such an efficient and affordable way. That's why I wanted to show you guys. So now let me show you the whole process of screen printing and cutting out everything, and just show you the whole process of the xTool setup that we have back in the shop. First step, grab your screen, put it into your frame, get it nice and stretched, get it taut, get it to the point where when you actually do screen print over top of it, it's not gonna bend too much because you need some tension to get a clean print. Then once you have that in your actual frame, then you put that into the laser, load your file in, whatever you need to cut, and then just let it cut. And the nice thing is it's a low power laser, so you're not gonna burn through anything. It's a really easy and fast way to actually cut the screen. And it just is cool to watch. And obviously, just like all screen printing, you can have multiple prints on multiple areas and you just tape over top of them, so you can have multiple prints per screen, which makes it a lot cheaper than if you had one design per screen. Then literally all you do is take the screen, mount it inside of the actual xTool's body, lock it down with the little levers here, align it with your knobs down here. But a lot of times if you're doing a small batch production, you're gonna do the alignment first, get everything set up, and then mark it with either a little stencil, an outline, and that way you can easily replicate the same print over and over and over when you're running hundreds of boot breakers. We also lay down just a little bit of sticky spray to get these to stick better, so when you're printing them, it prints a little bit cleaner, and it's just a lot easier to print when it's not just shifting around all the time. Then we just load in the ink, and like I said, I don't like the water-based ink. I like the non-water-based ink because water-based dries so fast, and so we use just your traditional screen printing ink. We just load that just enough inside the actual screen, grab the squeegee, kind of work it around a little bit, get it distributed amongst the squeegee, and then we do a little flood coat just to coat the screen, get it primed, and then just a full coat all the way across, presses all that ink through the screen onto the actual boot breaker, take the boot breakers out, slap it on the conveyor belt of the dryer, dry it through, and that's it. And so that's how simple the process is. So in a matter of like 3 or 4 minutes, you can explain the entire screen printing process from raw screen that's not stretched to a printable product within like 5 minutes. It's so crazy. So that's why I like this. That's why I wanted to show you guys, because I like all the equipment. I love the machines, and I want to get more and more into showing some of these cool sides of leatherworking and production that we don't get to talk a lot about, especially when brands are doing really innovative stuff and changing things like screen printing that's basically remained unchanged for like 40 years. So huge shout out to xTools for sending me this setup. It's about as simple of a screen printing setup as you can get, and it's really affordable. A lot of times these really simple and new setups, there's so much money that it kind of makes it not justifiable to buy the easier to run production tool like this, but it's really affordable. So if you've been wanting to start screen printing, if you have a few projects, if you've been wanting to upgrade your packaging or start a little screen printing company for shirts, whatever, xTool is a really cool option. So check them out below and check out the screen printers, check out their lasers, check out all their accessories. And if you want a pair of boot breakers, check them out below. But yeah, if you've been looking to get screen printing and it's intimidating, you don't want to figure out how to do it, this makes it so easy. So check it out below, and thanks for everything you guys do and watching these videos, supporting the unboxings, and watching the main channel, our handmade goods, our collaborations. All that is what makes this possible, so thank you guys. See ya.